So, hello, this is Tony Bianca. I am the Director of Spiritual Exploration and Worship Arts here at First UU San Diego, and I'm here this month with Marin Outwater, who is our Vice President of our board. And again, for people who this is your first time listening, this is just a chance for us to get to know our board members a little better and talk about some of the things that are important to them and for us as a community. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
And I always like to start just asking people to tell me a little about themselves. And if it's helpful, think about like if you were writing a book, how you would put that on the jacket cover.
Yeah, that threw me because I've never written a book, but I was raised in a family of 6, and I had a really wonderful childhood growing up in Michigan.
Wow.
I learned to love nature and to be kind to everyone and have appreciated being able to share this with others. I studied civil engineering in college and did a semester abroad in Switzerland, which turned me on to the study of transportation planning. I started my career in San Francisco and also came out as a lesbian at that time. My friends and siblings were supportive, and although my parents were conservative, they accepted my marriage to Julie.
Oh.
Julie and I have a son, Jude, who is 28 and thriving in Scotland at graduate school. I had a great career working as a consultant and for a regional planning agency in Seattle, and I'm now mostly retired. My current life is filled with sports, church, friends, and family. I couldn't be happier.
Oh. Oh. Oh my goodness. I love finding out all these different things about people. So like transportation planning?
Yes.
So is that like bus routes and trains? And like what does that involve?
Yeah, it's basically all kinds of transportation. So buses, trains, cargo, moving cargo and freight. I studied that a lot. I have mostly done research in how to improve transportation planning methods. So that's where my focus has been. But I worked as a consultant, but all the clients were government agencies, departments of transportation and that kind of thing.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And here in San Diego, it includes San Diego Association of Governments, which Karen Lanphier has worked for many decades.
Oh, cool.
And was one of my clients as well.
Oh, so so you've worked together before working together
She and
here
I
on the
never
board?
crossed paths professionally.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I love the fact that her background is there.
And I always love the coming out stories when people come out and like there's acceptance, right?
It was amazing. I felt really accepted, and some of it had to do with living in San Francisco, and the atmosphere there was really great. But I also had a wonderful group of friends from Michigan, and they also supported me in a great way, which really helped.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And my siblings, I have 5 siblings, right? So it was important for me that they were accepting as well.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nice. Yeah, I had a similar experience where I don't necessarily think of my parents as conservative, though I guess by like UU standards, my childhood was more conservative. They were liberal Catholics, but working class liberal Catholics. And yeah, they were super accepting. Like it was just a non-issue.
Oh, nice.
You know, which was nice.
Well, my parents, I would say they got there, but it took them a few years. Little transition into, okay, now we can accept it. Yeah. Seems normal, not that weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like, when I came out, I would say to people, like, it took me, I sort of accepted to myself, I said out loud to myself that I was gay in my sophomore year of high school, but I didn't tell another person until my sophomore year of college. So it took a full 4 years for me to get to a point where I could say it out loud. And then I thought, well, you know, I don't think it was a surprise to my parents or family. I think maybe some of the grandparents it was a surprise to. But, like, they needed time, too, to adjust and, you know, change their expectations of what my life was going to be. There wasn't going to be a big, like, white wedding. Though there was eventually.
Yes, we all get to have that eventually. Yeah. We've come a long way, honestly. Totally. And I'm pretty thrilled about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Julie and I actually got married twice.
Wow.
Because the first time was in a UU church in San Francisco, and that was, of course, illegal. In 1993.
Wow.
And then the law changed in 2013, exactly 20 years later. So we had another wedding in a UU church in Vermont near where my sister was living.
Oh, nice.
And and then we got married again.
Yeah.
So we celebrate 2 anniversaries every year. Love it.
Oh, that's awesome. I've also been married twice, but to a different person.
Aha.
So we got married in Baltimore, my first husband and I. We went to D.C. because the mayor of Baltimore said he would recognize out-of-state marriages. Even though it wasn't legal in Baltimore, we sort of fell through a loophole. And then I got gay divorced, and it was all very amicable. It was, very
that's good.
pleasant experience. And then remarried to Michael here 6 years ago. So cool. So what brought you to Unitarian Universalism?
I have been a UU for about 35 years and a member of this church since 2016. I was raised Presbyterian, but we didn't engage in church very often. So in college, I tried out some churches and temples just to explore, to find a home that felt like a good fit. This was in Ann Arbor, where I went to school, and Ann Arbor has a very large UU church, which I did not know about at the time.
I wouldn't have either.
So my exploration into religious practices, it eventually ended up when I lived in San Francisco. I met Julie, and she introduced me to a Unitarian Universalism, and I was therefore able to. I really felt a strong connection, and it sort of answered all my questions about how religion could fit into my life and be helpful to me.
Yeah, I feel like we get a lot of people seeking, like, they're okay somewhere with their spirituality. They just don't understand how religion fits with what they know to be true in themselves. And I feel like that's a large part of what we do. Is it's almost a translation process, right?
Yeah, and I really appreciated the attention to direct experience, which in my experience has not been the case in other religions, where direct experience doesn't really come into play. You're supposed to follow their traditions, and that was always the hard part for me. So the fact that direct experience is part of the religious experience here is important to me.
Yeah. I mean, going back to the idea of coming out, I said to a Catholic priest who I was having very sort of frank conversations with coming out that, my experience of myself as a gay person sort of took precedence over his opinions about what gay people should be, right? Like, my experience was it was direct, as you said. And I felt like there just wasn't room for that within Catholicism.
And I don't think there is.
No, yeah. You're supposed to conform, as you said, to the sort of ideal of what they think, as opposed to really just ask the people who are living through it. Seems like such common sense.
It does.
I guess not so common, maybe.
That's right.
Yeah. So then how would you define your own spirituality?
So my spiritual journey is filled with magical realism.
Oh.
And has provided me guidance and support in many ways over many decades. I joined the UU Church in San Francisco and really felt a home there and a religious tradition that fed my soul. And also honored the grounded, logical side of my spirituality, which was important to me. Julie introduced me to a spiritual practice called dream work. Through a teacher named Jeremy Taylor. And dream work gave me a structure and a means to influence my life decisions based on signs from my dreams and just paying attention to my overall intuition. This served the magical side of my spirituality. And when we decided to leave San Francisco and move to Seattle for my new jobs, my dreams directed me to do this. And even though the job didn't really turn out for me in the long term, the move to Seattle was a good thing for our family. And so I'm really glad that I, took that path. My spirituality has also included belonging to groups that grow deeper over time and feed my soul in various ways. So Julie and I met in a book club, and I've been in book clubs for most of the last 35 years. I've also enjoyed many years in a foodie group, a ski group, and a golfing group that nurture my spirit in other ways.
It's fascinating to think about magical realism as a spirituality.
I know, I made that up.
Well, I mean, I'm very familiar with that term, like as a literary genre.
Yes.
Right? But I've never thought about it in terms of a spiritual container. And that's fascinating. I don't know what yet I think about it, but it's just interesting to think about it as a spiritual path.
Yeah. It's not the same to me as the literature reference.
Yeah.
But to me, it just kind of combines the magical side or the unknown with the grounded sort of logical side, and that's a good balance for me.
Yeah, I worked. One of my colleagues, when I was teaching theology at a Catholic school, interestingly enough, she used to talk about the difference between irrational and non-rational. And so she would say, and I think non-rational I think of as similar to like magical, like this thing that you can't just completely surround with a logical framework.
That's right.
But that just because it's non-rational, that it's not explainable completely by rational means, doesn't mean it's irrational. Like it's
I agree with that.
Yes, yeah. That there's some in-between space. I mean, we use the word spirituality for that generally, I think. That, I think, is the space where you use spirituality, like, happens in that that space between rationality and complete irrationality.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just interesting to think. I'm going to be thinking about that for a while now.
I often refer to the non-rational as chaos, which is a mathematical term that means that you can't solve that problem mathematically. And that's indicative to me of the whole overall.
Yeah.
It's I like the non-rational term. That makes sense.
Yeah, because there's not, I mean, just the most basic example that everybody gives is love, right? Like, it's not necessarily a rational thing. I don't know why I love this or not, or this person or this thing, and not that person or that thing. Fascinating. So what do you find meaningful, or what holds you here at First UU?
So currently, my spiritual journey is focused on deepening relationships at church and in my community as well. These relationships have sustained me over many years and will most certainly define my future spiritual path, especially here at church. At UU churches in general, of which I've been a member of several, I've been involved as a teacher in religious education, a member of the Green Committee for Environmental Justice, a member of the Social Justice Executive Team, a volunteer at the food pantry, and now as vice president of the Board of Trustees. And it's all these things that keep me. I love the volunteering and the active service. I love the feeling of community, and I just I feel a deep connection with not only this church but UU's in general, because the other churches I've been at, they all have, they're all unique, as UU congregations are, and so I get different things from them, But in general, I feel very definitely at home in a UU church.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. And, I don't think either in this series or any of the other podcasts we've done here at church, I don't think there's been a person who hasn't said relationships with people when we talk about this question. I just think it's core to what we do here. Yeah.
It is core.
Yeah, and in addition to the other stuff that you said, like there was real substantive stuff and justice work and, even logistical work on the board. But I think it always comes back to the people and the relationships we build with them.
And I have to say, First UU in particular has a very strong social justice set of activities or just there's so much here that is social justice oriented, and that to me it's really speaks to my heart. And so in particular, I love all the social justice activities here, and the absolute plethora of volunteer opportunities, which is great. It's like, it is one of the reasons I want to be in a church community, so that I can be in organized social justice, which is better than trying to do it individually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fascinating question. I don't know the answer to this, but we're starting to think at least about the question of why do we do social justice as a church? Like, what's different about church social justice than just, volunteering at some other place's food pantry or, like working for a political organization. You can do a lot of social justice without necessarily being at church, but what makes it different as a faith community? Again, I don't know what the answer to that is, or...
I think maybe what makes a difference is the mission. The mission of a church is really just, well, especially our church, to make the world a better place. Yeah. And that's not necessarily the mission of a political organization. Yeah. Or, a food bank is, they are trying to make the world a better place, but that to me feels like some core reason. Yeah.
I think a piece of it also is that in social justice work done in a faith community, there's some part of it where it's I don't want to say selfish, but like my experience of the thing is part of the equation, right? Like in another organization, I might just be going and doing the work, and they're not terribly concerned about like what experience I'm having or like how it's changing me as a person. But like that's part of why we do it as a church community, is that it's, as much as I'm changing the world, I'm also changing myself in the work.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what, if anything, do you find challenging about this particular community or Unitarian Universalism in general?
Well, I thought about this a lot. Americans have an individualistic streak, which focuses them on individual needs instead of the needs of a community. And although UUs are more committed to the common good, I think everybody struggles to overcome their individualistic tendencies, which is an American thing. And that to me feels like a challenge. And I think UUs do that better than a lot of people, but still it feels like a challenge that, we could be better at.
Yeah. Not that we don't still talk about the principles, but before the Article 2 discussions, when we were really focused on the principles, the language of the free and responsible search for truth and meaning, so much emphasis was put on the free part, right? Like it's my search for truth and meaning. And I think I'm starting at least to see a shift toward how do we do this search as a community? Not that we're going to end up at the same place or we have to agree, but how are we searching for truth and meaning together, and helping each other along the way, And also, what does it mean, to be a UU? I think it's not just a group of people who all believe whatever they want, as the sort of myth goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I do find it challenging to describe UU as to non-UUs, somebody who's never heard of it, right? And, or if they've heard of it, all they've heard is that we don't believe anything.
Right. Yeah.
And yet trying to boil it down into a few sentences that they're not going to, get bored and walk away. Right. I struggle with that because I feel like it's not that simple. It's, there's a set of principles and, and sources, and I find it's just a bit, I don't know, complicated, I guess is the right word, but it I find it challenging to talk to people who were raised, especially in a Christian tradition, where the rules are clear. And we don't really have rules, we have principles. And the difference is important to me.
Yeah.
And so it's very hard to translate that into, trying to talk to somebody who doesn't know anything about the you.
And often when you ask somebody what their religion is about, they will immediately go to their beliefs about the divine.
Yes.
So like if you ask a Christian what they believe, they'll talk about Jesus and, God and the Holy Spirit and, some form of that. And I think we're much more focused on us, like how we act. Like at least my experience of Unitarian Universalism is it's not so much about, like the answer to what is a UU would very much not include what we believe about the divine or God or the nature of the universe. It's more about like what we value, how we treat each other. Yeah.
Yeah. I had never thought of it that way, but that is really insightful.
Well, and I think that's what makes it messier is a word, or like more complicated, is that we're complicated people, like what we value and, how we relate to each other is a complex sort of system. And that's hard to explain in an elevator pitch.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's also not logical, which just makes it even harder for me.
Yes. Yeah. Well, is there anything else that we haven't touched on or that you want to say about your experience here or even your work on the board?
I am really excited to be on the board, and I'm excited I think the board is gelling, and I'm excited to work with Karen, and I am just really looking forward to this year and next year and just getting more involved.
Well, awesome. It's going to be a full couple of years, a lot of big decisions and processes that go with them. So happy to have you on the board and have you here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome.